Friday morning at the Chinese Grand Prix got underway with a bang as Verstappen was pushing the limits of the track and getting more than he bargained for. Despite the shaky start to the weekend, the Mercedes team were boasting about the performance gains in their power units. But ultimately, it was the man who won his first Grand Prix here last year in 2018 that would set the pace in all free practice sessions. Carlos Sainz appeared very comfortable out on circuit. Further down the pecking order, it was clear Jaguar were still declining in performance against the usual suspects. Both Ferrari and Red Bull seemed to be quicker than both of the Jag drivers. Even more good news for the Tifosi as well this weekend, as Arriva Bene confirmed that the team would be introducing a completely new B-Spec car at their home race for Monza at the next round of the championship. As for this race weekend though, the paddock is building in hype considering what a thrilling race event it was last year in 2018. Let's take a look now at the starting grid for today's Chinese Grand Prix. It is once again the Audis up at the front, with Carlos Sainz grabbing another pole position. Sergio Perez starting alongside him, all Audis on the front row. Sergio about a quarter of a second slower, though, than his teammate during qualifying. Then comes the Mercedes boys. Verstappen ahead of Wehrlein, starting from third position. Close between them, though, just 6/100ths at the end of Quali. Giovinazzi will start from fifth position. He's happy with that, just 17,000 slower than Wehrlein, in fact, and joined on the third row by Lewis Hamilton in the McLaren. Then comes Pierre Gasly, who was a couple of tenths down on his teammate, joined on the fourth row by Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari, who set an identical time to actually Kevin Magnussen in ninth position in the McLaren. And rounding out the top 10, it is aarava for the Jaguar team. Then comes the other Ferrari of Daniel Ricciardo, who once again starts from outside the top 10, and then Stoffel Vandoorne in the other Jaguar in 12th position. On the seventh row of the grid, it is an all-Renault affair with Nico Hülkenberg once again out-qualifying his teammate Delatraz, who will start this race from 14th position. Then comes Bottas, the lead of the sort of back markers, I hate to call them, but in 15th position for Williams, and ahead of Mick Schumacher in the Force India. Then comes Romain Grosjean in the Haas in 17th position. He'll be joined on that row by Esteban Ocon in the other Force India in 18th position. Then the other Williams of Camara in 19th. Leclerc starting, though, from 20th position, ahead of his teammate Fuoco in 21st, and that is because Sergei Sarakin in the Haas bringing up the rear in last and 22nd position.
What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 MyDriver career mode, episode number 8 today for Season 5 at the Chinese Grand Prix. And with 15 rounds in this season, we are now officially over halfway through the season gone. So I need to say a huge thank you to you guys. The support has been the same as it was since episode 1. So again, thank you very much for that. You guys once again smashed the last episode. If you did miss that, by the way, the Singapore Grand Prix uploaded last week on the Friday. These episodes are always uploaded on the Friday around 7 PM, hopefully. So if you did miss that, go check it out. Quite an awesome one at the Singapore Grand Prix, but plenty of questions to be answered in this episode now. Obviously, before Singapore, Audi had quite a string of poor races, very inconsistent, so we'll have to see if they can shake that off for the Chinese Grand Prix and carry on from where they left off at Singapore. Behind them, the two Mercedes cars going strong, and indeed all the Mercedes powered unit cars this weekend have shown great improvement, especially through Sector 3, down this back straight that you're viewing right now on the formation lap. So it'll be interesting to see if Mercedes can actually finally take the fight to Audi. And then behind them, the likes of the McLarens, Ferraris and Red Bulls, and then us in Jaguar. A lot of different teams scrapping away for points, including Renault and maybe even Force India behind us. We'll have to see. So let's get into this then. We go to 5 red lights to the Chinese Grand Prix. The second half of the season begins here today. 5 red lights are out and we're underway, ramping up in second and up to third gear. Great start from us. We bolt to left-hand side of Sebastian Vettel as we go into turn 1. We got Magnussen and Gasly side by side. Giovinazzi, Wehrlein and Hamilton going 3 wide into turn 1, and the two Audis still leading the way just ahead of Max Verstappen. We're still trying to hang this on the left-hand side of the track on Sebastian Vettel. Then we got Gasly making a bit of a mistake, getting squeezed out with Magnussen. We go down their inside and we're up into 7th place, so a nice easy double overtake there as Gasly and Magnussen are too preoccupied looking at themselves to look at me on the left-hand side there. So we're up into 7th nicely, and so now we can look forward trying to chase down the top 6. But speaking of the top 6, Sergio Perez actually is the one leading this train into the next sector So despite not being on pole position, he got a good enough getaway, clearly, to overtake his teammate. And then behind us, going to the third sector, Daniel Ricciardo makes a move down the inside of Kevin Magnussen, round the outside of the next right-hander. And so Magnussen will have to contend with the two Renaults then behind him. As we cut back to our POV, we're trying to chase down Giovinazzi, who's similarly making a move on Lewis Hamilton. So down the back straight, it's going to be Perez, then from Sainz, Verstappen, Verline, then Giovinazzi, and then it's going to be us in P6 now as we make that move on Lewis Hamilton with pure slipstream. Not going to be P5 though, because we tried to maybe make a look down the inside of that hairpin. Not going to work out for us, but on the exit, we get a big slap of oversteer, and Gasly actually comes out of nowhere to re-overtake us. So Gasly was 2 positions behind us, so he must have gotten a great tow off Vettel, then Hamilton, and then to overtake me on the exit. But we're going to come back at him though, because we got this speed down the main straight. We'll go side by side into turn 1. He's got the outside line, which will turn into the inside line actually to the next part of the corner, so he'll have the advantage there. And then behind us, just noting the 2 Ferrari cars who have got past Hamilton there. So both McLarens struggling quite a bit in this Grand Prix yet again, probably with electrical issues, you've got to probably guess. But on the exit this corner, getting back to us in this fight for P6, we've got a good exit, so we'll get Gasly on the exit down this straight, and we'll be up into P6. But into the next corner, we've locked up, we've gone deep. Gasly comes back and swings back. We're going to have to do the switchback move, and we go side by side again. A beautiful battle with Gasly, our former teammate from last season, but we'll just about get it on the exit of that left-hander, and I can safely say now we've got P6, but for a while there, Gasly was really putting up quite a fight, and just like last season at China, me and him have a good scrap there between 2 former kind of teammates and rivals, I guess you could say. The kind of falling out of Red Bull last season there. Obviously, if you guys have watched Season 4. But now, finally, onto the next lap, I can say we're now onto the back of his teammate Giovinazzi now, so we're stop worrying about him and the cars behind us. I'm going to try and make this move down the inside of Gio. Here we go. We're going to go side by side in a very tricky double left-hander. We're going to have to give him the room, so we go very tight on the line, actually go across the gravel a little bit there on the inside of the apex. Who's going to brake later into this next corner? It's actually going to be Pierre Gasly, because Gasly's actually tapped the rear end of me. You can see a bit of carbon fiber flicked off on the distance there. So Gasly actually outbroke himself and hit the back of me. We're still going side by side with his teammate Giovinazzi on the exit though. Gio's got it, but we'll get the slipstream, we'll get the DRS now. So just going to line this up, move to the right hand side of the circuit. It's going to be probably a sitting duck for Giovinazzi here as we move up into P5. There you go. Behind us, I think Vettel is also trying to make a move, perhaps on Pierre Gasly as well, into the hairpin, going a little bit wide, locking up a tad, but we got that. And then behind us, Giovinazzi now has to contend with his teammate and the Ferrari car, but we're actually going to go straight in the pits now. Lap 3 may seem like a very early pit stop, but Giovinazzi follows me in actually, so both of us making a move into the pits here. So we don't want to go any longer on these super softs. They're very much like qualifying tyres, the super softs here at China, really, much like if you remember back to Season 4 here at China. The same sort of situation. You only want to go about 3-4 laps at best on the super soft, so making a very early pit stop, and my team have not done a great job because we get held there in the pits, so we end up being behind Giovinazzi. So I did all that work to get ahead of Giovinazzi, and then my team just can't do the job on the pit stop to keep us ahead. So we're now in P20 behind Antonio, and then behind us will be Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton, who also decided to make a pit stop with us. So we're going to have to try and re-overtake Giovinazzi. He's on soft tyres, so it may be a bit of a tricky task at hand, because if you didn't note, we're on medium tyres, the hardest tyre possible at this Grand Prix, trying to do a bit of a different strategy to everyone else. And so as our second stint begins, we're just going to have a look at a replay here earlier on in the Grand Prix of Max Verstappen actually overtaking Carlos Sainz in a straight line. This is on lap 3, I believe. So the lap we actually made our pit stop on, up ahead of us, was Verstappen overtaking Sainz. So very interesting development there. So perhaps maybe Sainz has an issue, I'm not too sure, because it didn't look like in practice that Mercedes were legitimately faster than on the Audi cars. I think yet again that signs of Audi by the 8th round, and so much funding and money behind them, unable to keep that engine or electrical, deployment on the engine ticking over there. So they're going to have to question that yet again for another race in this season. But anyway, moving back to us, we're on lap 5 now, trying to make a move down the inside of Antonio Giovinazzi. We're side by side. This is going to be a great job for us if we can make this work, because we're on medium tyres, so we can try and basically effectively spoil Giovinazzi's race. And even more so, we've got Verline, who's just come out of the pits on cold super soft tyres, and he's got a poor exit there. So can we try and make this move for what will be P14? If we can do, this will be great to try and ruin his race as well, because he, even more so than Giovinazzi, really, because he's on 2 softer compounds. But into sector 2, unable to make that move. He outbrakes us there, and so we'll have to try and wait, maybe perhaps till the DRS zone, because he's going to have that instant bite and grip. Even if his tyre's a little bit cold, those super softs are going to bite in a lot faster than my mediums ever have. And so onto the DRS straight, we do indeed make that move. Obviously a very long DRS straight. Big braking zone coming up, and into the hairpin though we do lock up a little bit. So on the entry and exit, Verline's got it. We bang tires a little bit actually, and he's going to try and get this move back into the last corner. Is he going to hang around the outside? Yes, he does. He actually does great to brake later than me into that final corner. So we'll go side by side down the main straight onto lap 6 this will be, and then Giovinazzi will join the party on my left hand side. They'll go through. We'll go 3 abreast. We let them go through, and Verline has made contact with Giovinazzi. They were going side by side either side of me, and I just knew that I at least couldn't make that move down the middle of them in a sandwich there, so I backed off and broke early. But who would have thought Verline would have then just ploughed into the back of Giovinazzi? So that is 2 races in a row where Verline has been involved in an accident. Obviously, the last one in Singapore probably wasn't half his fault only, but I think that was entirely his fault, as he should have seen Giovinazzi coming there. Obviously quite tricky, going 3 wide into turn 1, but that's why I backed out. But one of them could have backed out. It wasn't going to be Giovinazzi around the inside, clearly, but Verline's come out worse from that. So now we have to try and re-overtake Giovinazzi, because he got that move, use that to his advantage, but we do so with DRS on the end of lap 6, down the main straight. This time we don't lock up, go real slow in the apex, and park it effectively to try and make sure we get that move from him. So we have got that successfully, and now we've got a bit of clean air to maybe try and get away from him. And so briefly, if we just look ahead to a different fight in this Grand Prix, ahead of us is Max Verstappen, who's actually at this point in the Grand Prix ahead of both Audi cars. He leads Carlos Sainz and then Perez in this train behind some other cars who have yet to pit. So very interesting development there. So Verstappen in an effective net P1 as Giovinazzi re-overtakes us. We make a move down the inside. We do a bit of a switchback that actually puts Giovinazzi off as he locked up quite badly into that hairpin. And so we go side by side yet again on the exit. He's got it though for now, so we'll just get squeezed out into the final corner. Actually go wide a little bit with a lot of dirty air. Get on the curbing, and now we've got Ocon in the Force India on our left-hand side. So he's going to try and make a move with DRS on the pit straight. So we're going to have to be overtaken by 2 cars, but I'm not having any of that. I can't have a Force India overtaking me. So we go immediately round the outside into turn 1 and re-overtake Ocon. And we're going to try and now come back at Giovinazzi, who got away from us actually and quite annoyingly squeezed me out in that final corner. We wouldn't even be fighting Ocon if it wasn't for that dirty air effect in the final corner. But on to the next sector, Sector 2 in the S section. We close up on Giovinazzi yet again, and yet again in the same area of the track. We're going to make a similar move down the inside on the Italian man, but this time we completely get him on the entry on the first left-hander. Don't need to contend with him on the second left-hander, but Giovinazzi will come back at us. So you can see in the mirrors, he does make a pop, but we do well enough to defend from him as we go a little bit wide, but we squeeze him out into the next section, and we've kept that 7th place there. So moving on now to lap 9 into the first few corners. We can see now Ricciardo on Super Softs has been making a charge. He's overtaken Giovinazzi, and now he's coming on the back of us. So you can see in the mirrors, there he goes. We'll stick to our racing line here on the right-hand side of the circuit as we go into the beginning of Sector 2, down the inside of him, trying to squeeze him out as best we can. We'll have to go side by side on the exit. Who's going to have the bigger balls going to the next section? Ricciardo's going to have the inside line, but we're going to try and hang it audaciously round the outside to keep this position. Still fighting with Ricciardo. He's now going to have the inside line and maybe try and make the same move I did to Giovinazzi. We tried to squeeze him into the apex, and it's actually worked out for us. We get a bit of oversteer for good measure, but we're up into P4. We've kept P4, and actually up into P4, I should say that. People have already made their pit stops, and so really this has all worked out quite well in my favour as we again have to defend from Ricciardo there, squeezing him into the side of the circuit really quite aggressively, and we're going to keep P4 that way. But on the exit this corner, just noting, yeah, we're in P4 actually, so that's worked out brilliantly for us. Obviously, Verline isn't there in the top 4 to contend with the 2 Audis and his teammate Verstappen. And so in all of that, we've ended up in this great position. And by lap 10, we're into P2 as 2 people ahead of us have made their pit stops. But that may be about to change. We can see the 2 Ferraris are indeed right behind me. Ricciardo makes the move on the right-hand side. He's up into P2. And then Vettel comes out of nowhere, to my surprise. I tried to go to the right-hand side to take the inside line, but but Vettel was having none of it. And then the two Ferrari cars go side by side, so the teammates battling away. And so I was hoping that maybe the two of them could kind of confuse each other, be looking at each other too much for me to maybe nip down and try and make another move to regain those two positions. But Vettel on an absolute flyer there into P2. He's overtaken me and then his teammate down the inside, and so he's doing a great job. But Ricciardo comes back at him, so this is exactly what I was hoping for. Can we now try and make a move down the inside, perhaps, of Vettel? We're going to maybe go around the outside now. This will turn into the inside of the next corner, actually, so probably the better line to take. And so we will re-overtake the German as the two teammates get in each other's way, but Ricciardo ultimately still stays in P2, and Vettel is still looking very, very punchy. Doesn't look like he's going to give this up too easily. Ricciardo's on super softs, by the way, so that's just one thing to note. He's going very, very long, so I'm very surprised at how much grip he's got at this stage of the Grand Prix in this stint of his, in the second stint. And actually, it probably shows into this next section, in the S section, because we get on the marbles, and yet we're still able to keep it around the outside and make the move down the inside there. So that probably is the sign of Ricciardo's tyres finally starting to give up there, because the super softs really aren't meant to go this long. I think he's been on that set of tyres for at least 5-6 laps, when in reality their best is only 3 or 4 laps. So I was very surprised to see how well Ricciardo was doing, although to be fair, the move he did make on me was in a straight line in this same exact area of the track, and he may do it again. As we look at the mirrors on the left-hand side, he's going to come back at us, and Vettel will as well. So the two Ferraris using each other as a bit of tow here in tandem, and Vettel is going to come out in first place there, in first of the battle, in second place of the Grand Prix. We send it down the inside to try and keep this third place at least. But on the exit, getting a bit of oversteer. Will Ricciardo come in? Surely he's got to, and yes, he will. Dive it into the pit. So now we've got to try and catch back up to Vettel, who's on the same set of tyres as us, so on the medium tyres. But we've also got, for company, Mick Schumacher right behind us. As we move on to the next lap, lap 12, still trying to catch up to Vettel, and Schumacher is keeping me honest behind me on a set of soft tyres. So that's something to think about, that if Schumacher does come and overtake, if he does come to overtake us, I don't think it's going to be too bad, because he is on the softer tyre, so he should be really doing that, to be fair to him. So on lap 12, though, on the end of it, into sector 3, into the hairpin, no less, we've overtaken Vettel there finally for P2. But then onto the very next lap, the slipstream is so powerful here that Vettel comes back at us. And as we go into the brake zone, you can also see the Force India of one Mick Schumacher also trying to overtake us, and he has done. The exit of that corner finds the grip on those soft tyres, and so he's up into P3. So I suspect out of sync a little bit, but he's having a very good race at the moment to be fighting us, and obviously just showing that Mercedes engine really working a treat, because we both have DRS now down this main straight, and you can see he's gone away from us a little bit. So yet again, just being hampered a little bit by this Land Rover branded Renault engine in the back of this Jaguar car. But now on to lap 14, Mick Schumacher's actually overtaken Sebastian Vettel. So Schumacher having a storm of a drive, using that engine to good use in the back of his Force India. And so both of us, the Renault team and the Ferrari camp, will be kind of scratching their heads and getting frustrated that Mercedes have been able to power past us so fast there with their engines. And so now we'll try and make the move, though, on Vettel now, who surely is having some tyre wear of his own. We go down the inside, very, very close stuff with our front left tyre to his rear right, but we send it down the inside to the second phase of this long right hand, and you can see aggressively going to the left hand side of the circuit to chop him off effectively. And so we've got that up into P3 now, but we're going to have to start thinking about our tyre wear and where we're going to make our pit stop now for the next stint, which will be, I think, probably a set of soft tyres, because actually, I know it will be for the soft tyres, because we actually don't have another set of medium tyres, because the way we've allocated our tyre set for the weekend, we've only got one set of these medium tyres, so that's our only set of boots that you'll be seeing that have white wall on the sidewall of the tyre. So we're going to go on to a set of softs. I wonder what Vettel will go on to, because typically the AI usually go for a default tyre allocation, so that would mean that he doesn't have another set of mediums. But as I can see on the exit, I can't quite tell just right about now, but I think that may be a set of mediums. We come onto the exit, yes it is! So Vettel is on another set of mediums, so looks like the AI, quite strangely, because I would have thought they would have just gone default, looks like they've gone a little bit conservative on the hard compounds, and gone for a harder set of allocations, whereas I've gone for the default strategy, which is only one set of mediums, 2 sets of softs, I believe, and 3 sets of super softs. So I'm going to be a little bit on edge a little bit, once again, like last season for tyre wear, but I think this time, because we've gone on medium tyres in the second stint, I've stretched that out as much as I can so we won't be going long on that stint, so hopefully that will come into my advantage. And already you can see that advantage coming into play as we go into the next left-hander, turning into the right-hander, locking up a little bit, but a great move round the outside of Vettel. So I actually didn't mention it, but we had to re-overtake him actually, because once again my damn pit crew didn't do a good enough job, and he was able to jump us down the pit lane. So we made a great move in the S section, but Vettel comes back at us with slipstream down the inside. Crucially, I think he just got us before the DRS line, so I think we may have DRS on him, but we'll have to see as we swoop round this final corner onto the back straight who's going to have DRS. I actually have low fuel as well, so I don't have too much rich mix to play with, so I'm sort of hoping I have DRS. I think we do. Yes, we do. There we go on the bottom right. So Vettel just overtook us before the DRS, but look at that. The Ferrari engine actually is good enough to keep him ahead, even though I do have DRS. So that is just not on there from Renault. I'm going to be so much happier next season when we have the Jaguar bespoke engines, because Renault have just been doing so poorly, and Vettel sends it down the inside. It's a brilliant little switchback move we have to try and do on the German. So this is absolutely wonderful stuff. The two rivals from Season 4 last season, the title rivals, are once again having an on-track battle here at China. And can we try and swing it back, doing another switchback move to get to the inside of turn 1? And we have finally made that, and we're up into P3. Can we just get this off the exit and get away from Sebastian? Because at the moment, he's actually wrecking my race now, like I did to Giovinazzi, because we need to use this soft tire to good effect. And so by lap 20, we have done. We've got away from Vettel, but now it's actually Schumacher that I have to worry about. He's on medium tyres, but he's coming back at us, and it looks like Schumacher actually isn't out of sync in this Grand Prix. He's actually legitimately here fighting us for what will be a podium position. He's up into P2 now. Where on earth are the Audis, and where on earth is Max Verstappen? Because he was in the mix. I don't know where he's gone to. I don't know where one of the Audis has gone to. They must have had some traffic perhaps. I don't know, a crash. We haven't seen any racing incidents come up on the kind of actual timing screens for any incidents with any drivers, so I'm not too sure about that. But somehow it's going to be Schumacher in P2. We're in P3. Vettel now is coming back at us in P4, because you can see on the right hand side my tyres are very, very poorly, but at the moment they're still not in that zone where my engineers are telling me they're going to be dangerous. That flashing exclamation mark triangle hasn't come up yet, so I can still continue going on. So I need to continue going on. We've got 7 laps in this Grand Prix left, and I want to have that last stint be an all-for-nothing punchy stint on the soft tyres. So I'm going as long as I can muster on these soft tyres. So Vettel has overtaken us, though, with a pretty easy DRS move, and we continue on for one more lap to try and stretch these out in P4, but already straight away you can see the grip difference going into this next lap compared to Vettel. And onto the middle of lap 22, there's been an absolute disaster, because we've got a puncher for the second year in a row around the Chinese Grand Prix on our left rear tyre. You can see on the right hand side the indicator complete 100% red. The only saving grace for us is that we're a lot further ahead to the other cars, so we may not lose as much positions. And actually, look at that on the top right, the safety car has been called out. Safety car is going to be our saving grace again as well. So not only have we got a bigger gap to the cars behind us, we've got the safety car, so this may be a bit of saving silver lining for us. The safety car is being called out, so we come into the pits, we'll strap on a fresh set of soft tyres, and then go to the end on 5 laps, just pummeling the soft tyres to try and make up the positions. But the safety car definitely is going to help, because obviously everyone's going to bunch up, and then on the restart we can really do some work there on that opening restart lap. So here we go. My team, obviously no other team to contend with in the pit lane, thankfully, so not going to lose any positions there. But I wonder where we'll actually come out in. I think it may be quite down the order, because this Grand Prix has actually been very, very close. All the teams, all 10 teams, all 11 teams, I should say, sorry, all 11 teams have been very, very close-paced, actually. So we do come out, actually, in P19, so quite down the order. Up at the top, though, this is Carlos Sainz leading the way from Schumacher, still in P2, Vettel P3. There is Perez, finally. I lost track of where Perez was in this Grand Prix. So he is actually still there in the top 4 in P4 there. And then is my teammate, Stoffel Vandoorne, in P5, who I've not seen at all in this Grand Prix. So he's come out of nowhere to be in a brilliant P5. So he's just silently gone about his business there, Vandoorne. So good job for him, and hopefully I can try and join him in the points, because yes, that's how optimistic I am. I think we can do this. I think we will have the pace. We've got 3 laps remaining. Let's do this. There's Delatraz out the Grand Prix. There you go, on the right hand side of the circuit. He's a very weird crash straight out the Grand Prix on the restart there on the grass. But here we go, right behind Roman Grosjean. Can we try and make the move? There is Verstappen also. I wondered where he was, so he's down the order in what will be only 2 positions ahead of us. But here we go into turn 1, everyone bunching up together. We're already up into P15, P14. This will be Gasly going side by side with the Renault car of Hulkenberg going around the outside of them. And we've got the grip compared to all these guys who did not make pit stops, remember, under the safety car. So absolutely fantastic grip. And we're already up into P12, so 2 places off the points paying positions as we go right behind Giovinazzi. There's surely been a problem. I think there's a problem for Ocon because all these guys are going so much slower than I thought they would on the exit of the corner down the inside of Antonio Giovinazzi to overtake him, overtake the other Haas car, Hamilton as well, Magnussen I should say, and there we go. There is Ocon with no front wing, so I wonder, that must have been because of Delatraz. Ocon must have crashed with Delatraz, and he has been my saving grace today because we're up into P8. We've gone from P19 to P8 in the span of 1 lap. That has been an absolutely worldly opening lap, and the excitement doesn't end there because this is Mick Schumacher making a move with the Mercedes engine, which we saw was very damn powerful down this back straight because Verstappen made a move earlier on in the Grand Prix against the Audi car, and now Mick Schumacher's used that same engine to good effect to overtake Carlos Sainz. Perez will try and go side by side with Vettel to make the move up into P3, but this is Mick Schumacher still leading the Chinese Grand Prix as we move into the second sector of the next lap with only 2 laps to go, including this one. It's Schumacher from Sainz, Perez, then Vettel, and then Vandoorne. What a story that would be as we move on to our POV. You can see we're setting blistering lap times, a purple lap time in the second sector, trying our hardest to catch up, but it's no use. We're going to run out of time, run out of laps, and it's going to probably have to be P8 here in the Chinese Grand Prix behind Daniel Ricciardo, ahead of Kevin Magnussen. But up at the front, what a story this is going to be at the Chinese Grand Prix for the 2nd year in a row. We've got a surprise winner through the final corner. Mick Schumacher is going to come through to win the Chinese Grand Prix and take the Schumacher name back to the top at Formula 1. What a crazy story. The 2-stop for Mick Schumacher. He's come out of nowhere with such an audacious strategy at a circuit which has such high tyre wear in the last 2 seasons, and he's come through to win it. Absolutely insane result for him. We come home in P8, so not all hope is lost there. Points paying positions that will be. But Schumacher from Sainz, then Sergio Perez, then we've got Sebastian Vettel, and then Vandoorne coming home for a good 5th place. What that means for the championship then is Lewis Hamilton still stays ahead in the Drivers' Championship by 1 point now to Carlos Sainz, 92 to 91. Sergio Perez climbs up to 3rd place with 84 points, and then myself and Vandoorne drop down the order by 1 place to 4th and 5th with 75 to 74. So Vandoorne closes up by 1 point to me now in the Drivers' Championship. Verstappen, a very poor race for him in 6th place with 68 points. Obviously Verline out of this Grand Prix. Schumacher jumps right back up ahead of the 2 Red Bulls and the McLaren of Magnussen for 9th place now with 42 points. Magnussen, Gasly and Giovinazzi drop down the order. Both Red Bulls having a very, very poor race. That is going to be a big worry for Red Bull, for Christian Horner, for the Red Bull, as a company, for a sponsorship company. That 2 Red Bull cars, they're just not really caught it up. And we've already seen Giovinazzi get so much poor luck that there's even been rumours of Giovinazzi wanting out of the Red Bull program already. He wanted to get promoted for so long to Red Bull, and now already after half a season gone, he's already regretting the move to Red Bull, to the top team because they're doing so poorly. And Ferrari, they've got to be pretty pleased with that. Vettel getting 4th place in the A-Spec car, and we've already got confirmation that next race at the Italian Grand Prix, they'll be bringing the B-Spec car. Who knows where Ferrari's going to be for that next race at the Italian Grand Prix, but all of that doesn't matter in comparison to Mick Schumacher winning that Grand Prix. Well, what is it with China? What is it with China? Honestly, like, in MyDriver, China is amazing. And everywhere else, China's just shite. Like, before F1 2016, the game, China was always heralded as a very annoying track to do in career mode, a very bad one. But in 2016, on the 2016 game, and in MyDriver specifically as well, absolute madness. Absolute madness. 2 years in a row, a surprise winner. Last year it was Carlos Sainz in Season 4. Season 5, Mick Schumacher. What a crazy race. What a crazy one. What a crazy result. Guys, if you have enjoyed that, smash that like button. Let's try and get over 2,000 likes yet again. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoyed the rest of the day, and I'll see you guys next time.